Oh, hi there. Don't mind me. I do this every day. I spend nearly an hour on my phone checking yesterday's news, sporting events, email, stock market, social media, you name it. Did you know that the average adult spends 7 hours a day in front of a screen? Before you do the math, let's just all agree that's way too much. Today, I'm going to show you how to curate your very own daily email digest using IFT. This automation is going to save you at least 45 minutes a day, and it's going to give you peace of mind that you haven't missed any important updates. If this is your first time hearing of IFT, welcome. At IFT, we help solopreneurs and small business owners by connecting and automating the tools that they use every day. If you'd like to learn how to automate your small business, simply like this video and subscribe for more of this content. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to go to Google Sheets, create a brand new Google spreadsheet. I've created this one here and I've called it Consolidator. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this where I wrote consolidator. Then I'm going to go to if.com/explore. Then I'm going to hit the create button and we're going to create our first applet in this automation. We'll start off with our trigger, if this add. Then I'm going to search for the National Football League. My favorite team is the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm going to select this third trigger here. And next for the action, I'm going to type in Google Sheets. And we're going to add row to spreadsheet. For the spreadsheet name, this is where I want to copy and paste the consolidator, and I'm going to do it down here as well for the drive folder path. Leave everything else as is, and we're going to create action. Next, we're going to hit continue, and here's where we name the applet. I'm simply going to call this 49er News to Consolidator. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Every time there's a technology related article from the BBC News, it's going to send that article as a new row in that same Google spreadsheet. And I'm going to do the same thing every time there's a new episode of the This American Life podcast. This one here is going to send a new row to Google spreadsheets every time there is a new episode of one of my favorite YouTube channels, Automate Your Life. This one is going to send the closing price of Apple stock every day to this same Google spreadsheet. And finally, I created this one here where I have a note widget on my iOS device. So anytime I write a note in my note widget, it sends that note to Google spreadsheet. Before we get to the next step in this automation, I do want to point out that yes, there are millions of YouTube channels, millions of podcasts, millions of stock tickers, millions of news sources. Feel free to go crazy when you're building your daily digest, but remember, the goal is to reduce distractions, okay? Try to focus in on what's most important to you and let the other stuff take a back seat. Okay, so as you can see, we are back here at the same Google Sheet. It's been about 24 hours. As you can see, this sheet has already started to populate some items. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the URL here. Then we're going to go back to if.com/create. And again, we're going to start with our trigger statement and we're going to search for Google Sheets. And the trigger that we want is new row added to spreadsheet. Click here. I've got several Google accounts connected. So you want to make sure that you're connecting to the same one that has that Google Sheet attached to it. So we'll do that here. Here's where you can enter the folder path and the name of the file. This time we're just going to simply paste the URL from the Google spreadsheet. Create trigger, click add next to then that, and I'm going to type in email digest. And we're going to add this to a daily email digest. I'm going to leave everything as is. If you want to get fancy with the message, you certainly can. I'm simply going to leave everything as is for this one and create action, continue, and for the title, My Daily Digest. Okay, so here we are back on our Google spreadsheet, the consolidator. A few days have passed, so we're just going to take a quick glance at some of the things that have been added into this spreadsheet. We've got some 49ers news from USA Today. We've got some YouTube videos from Caleb Hammer in the financial audit. We have our closing price for Apple stock, and it also looks like we have some business and technology related news from BBC. If I go back to the day before, you can see where I added some notes to the note widget. Pick up dry cleaning, write thank you cards, and add diapers to shopping lists. Here you can see that I've done some testing with webhooks and shortcut stories. Now we're going to head to the email digest itself and see what this looks like when we get it at 7 a.m. in the morning. So the subject of our email is Daily Digest, new row added to, and it's got 19 items. I might change this to make it sound a little bit better, but pretty clear what's going on here. We've got 19, this applet is basically run 19 times. We've had 19 rows that have been added to the Google Sheet. The title for this first story is row 591 added to, and then it actually gives us that again, kind of redundant. I think we're going to make some changes to this in just a minute. Let's just have a quick look at this first story. Here where it says column A, you've got the title of the article, 49ers beatdown of Eagles puts them back at number 1 in the USA Today NFL Power Rankings, which is awesome. Column C, it tells us this is the author of the article. It gives us a link to the article itself. And then here is the actual content of the article. It also gives us the date that the article was published. And then down here, it tells us, this is from If, telling us when the applet ran, and it gives us a link back to the Google Sheet. This is something that I'm also going to get rid of when we go back and edit this app. Row 595, this is the YouTube video. I've become a fan of this guy named Caleb Hammer. He runs a YouTube channel called The Financial Audit, where he helps people with their personal finances. I spend a lot of time on YouTube, so it's nice to kind of be able to just go and watch what I want and get right back to my email. And then down here where it says row 599, this is the closing price yesterday for Apple stock. It closed at $193.42. I think this is really valuable because I might own Apple stock, and if it closes at a really high price the day before, then I might go and look and be able to sell and make a profit. Or if it closes at a really low price, that might be a good indicator that it's time to go and purchase more of that stock. Here's a couple articles from the BBC in row 603 and 604. This first one is titled Why Food Discount Stickers May Be a Thing of the Past. And this next one is Red Gold, Why Saffron Production is Dwindling in India. So I think a few changes that I'm going to make is I'm going to get rid of this redundancy altogether where it says row 604 added to, row 604 added to, and I'm just going to make the title, which is this highlighted in blue here. I'm just going to make the title the content of column A. So up here, we're going to have where it's going to say Red Gold, Why Saffron Production is Dwindling in India. And another thing that I've noticed is I don't need any of this here. When the applet ran, I know it ran within the last 24 hours. And if I really need a better timestamp, I can do some more investigating by clicking into the article. I've also noticed that column G, H, I, and J are empty for all of these. So I'm going to get rid of all of this. Okay, so here I am at if.com/myapplets. Fun fact on this account, in my 5 years at if, I've created 616 applets, which is pretty cool. I'm going to click this one here. This says My Daily Digest. To edit any applet, we're going to go to the top right where it says Settings. And this time we're going to click on the action, which is then Add to a Daily Email Digest. I'm going to leave the time at 7 a.m. And here's where we're talking about that redundancy where the title and the first part of the email are the same. So we're actually going to get rid of both of these. And for the title, I'm going to add ingredient and just put column A. This will give me the contents of column A, which for the most part should be the title of the news articles that we receive. So if we have that here, we don't need that here. I can also get rid of where it actually states that which column it is, because you don't really need that. I personally like it, so I'm going to leave it, but that would be one thing that you could do to clean this up a bit more. I am going to get rid of G, H, I, and J, because for all of the rows that I've added thus far, there's no information that's being added to these rows, so it's just taking up space in my email. And then we're also going to get rid of this here, update action. The quick changes that we just made is actually going to make a world of difference when we get our next email tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. It's going to be cleaner, nicer, much more digestible. That being said, we've only scratched the surface of the types of things you can do for an automation like this, especially when you get into filter code. If you are going to create an automation like this for yourself, I recommend putting some extra time into it. Make it special for yourself. This is something that you are going to get every day, and you want it to be useful, and you want it to be something that keeps you from spending unnecessary time just staring at your phone. Oh, hi, you're still here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you got something to say, let us know in the comments. Also, you can click the link here for more videos. And I'll see you next week for another edition of Business Automations with Ben.